So for the first time in our garage, why don't I introduce to you the best sports car that you can buy for under 16,000 bucks? What's going on, guys? Welcome back to Ed Gasket. If you are new to this channel, thank you for stopping by. I hope you enjoyed today's video so much that you would consider subscribing. But if you don't, it's all good. We'll pretend like this conversation never happened. So today I'm going to introduce a brand new project in the garage, but more importantly, I'm going to share with you the specific criteria that I followed to make sure that I was buying the best sports car that was currently for sale in the United States at the under $16,000 price target. Now, if you ask a group of people what the best sports car is for under $16,000, you're going to run into an argument and not get a clear answer. So that's why I used my 4 criteria to make sure that the decision I made to buy this car right here cannot be argued. Now remember, we're buying a sports car, and what better way to measure the success of a sports car than by its speed? So our first filter that we're going to use to buy our car is that it has to go 0 to 60 in 5 seconds or less. Now unfortunately, that's going to eliminate a lot of budget-friendly sports cars from our list. Now, one way to buy a vehicle that's typically out of your price range is to go for a salvage lot vehicle or a rebuilt title. And I have no problem with doing this. I like buying broken down vehicles and either fixing them, selling them, or driving them, or do whatever with them. But for this video to make sense to the highest number of people, I think it's best that our filter number 2 is that this vehicle has to have a clean title with no exceptions. So guys, the third filter on our list is probably my favorite, and it says that our car has to have a manual transmission. Now, unfortunately, that eliminates a few really cool cars, like the Maserati Gran Turismo, for instance, just doesn't come in a manual transmission. Now, let's be honest, if we're buying a clean title vehicle, we probably can't afford the Maserati Gran Turismo anyway. But any car that comes in a manual versus an automatic option is almost always cooler in the manual. So guys, there are still plenty of cars on our list given the selected criteria, but this last filter is really going to hone us in, because anybody can go out and buy a mid-90s BMW M3 with a ton of miles on it and still have a really sweet car. So to make this extra interesting, our car has to have less than 40,000 miles on the odometer.
You are out of your damn little pea-sized mind. What is wrong with you? Do you have any sense?
So guys, with that criteria on deck, I'm happy to confirm that our vehicle has a clean title. It'll do 0 to 60 in 5 seconds or better. It has under 40,000 miles, and it has 3 foot pedals. So with all 4 criteria being met, I introduce to you a new to us, black on tan, Porsche 911.
There goes a sight from my soul. There goes a sight. Now there goes a sight from my soul.
Guys, I'm sitting in a 1999 Porsche 911. This example does 0 to 60 in 5 seconds or less, has a manual gearbox, has a clean title, and most importantly, check this out. It has 38,000 miles on it. This car is 22 years old with 38,000 miles on it. That's 1,700 miles a year. Some of us drive 1,700 miles a month. Now, I've been dying to wash this thing since the moment I saw it come off the truck, because it's covered in road salt. There's bird poop here, there's things all over the windshield, and yes, I bought this at an auction, but before we talk about what I paid, and we'll go through every detail, we gotta wash this thing.
Now there goes a sight from my soul. There goes a sight from my soul. There goes a sight, there goes a sight. There goes a sight from my soul. I think it's all angels just walk by. I think it's all angels just walk by. There goes a sight from my soul. There goes a sight, there goes a sight. Now there goes a sight from my there goes a sight.
So now that the car is relatively clean and a little bit less distracting, let's reveal where I found this 911 and, of course, what I paid for it. So a few weeks ago, I'm searching through a website called Insurance Auto Auctions, where they auction off insurance vehicles that have salvage titles. And of course, I came across this 911 that stood out just because it had a clean title, which is probably less than 1% of vehicles on the website. So if we head over to Auto Tempest, which is a great source to figure out what your car is worth, or at least what other people with your vehicle are selling them for, we'll find that these 1999 Porsche 911s with under 50,000 miles go for somewhere between $20,000 and $30,000. Now remember, this video is all about the best sports car for under $16,000. So let me reveal 3 things about this vehicle and that auction website that allowed us to achieve that price point on this 911. Number 1 is that this vehicle is being sold on a salvage auction website. So cars on this site are sold by insurance companies, so you can semi-trust that there's nothing fishy going on. But this vehicle has a clean title, which means it's not being sold by an insurance company, but rather a third party, which is always just a little bit more concerning. Now, the next feature about this vehicle that keeps the price below market value is the fact that this auction was not open to the public, and you needed a dealer's license if you wanted to be part of it. Fortunately, SCA Auctions is a brokerage with a dealer's license, and they will do your bidding on your behalf. Of course, they want a little bit of a fee, which drives away potential bidders because of the inconvenience. But if you can drive away potential bidders, you can keep the price low. Now, the third feature about this vehicle that kept the price low has to do with what's under the hood. So this year, make, and model is notorious for something called an IMS bearing failure, which is a bearing deep inside the motor that, if it goes, will take the entire motor with it, leaving you with a 5-figure paperweight. But fortunately, I did a simple VIN search and came across this listing for this exact car just recently. And what it shows, if you scroll down in the description, is that this exact vehicle had the IMS bearing repair done in 2017, which means the motor under the hood of this 911 is good to go. Hopefully. So combine all of these features with, of course, just a little bit of cosmetic damage on the front end, and you end up heading to auction and taking home this car for a winning bid of $16,000. So I paid for this vehicle with a wire transfer, which of course in itself is pretty scary to do when you don't know the person that you're sending the money to. But regardless, within 3 days, the delivery service had this vehicle in my driveway. Now guys, this isn't the only sports car you can buy for under $16,000. I get that, but this is the one that made sense for me given my criteria that I used to do my research. If you're interested in that BMW E36 M3, then buy it. If you want all-wheel drive and you've been looking at Subaru WRX, then buy it. Don't let anybody tell you about the wrong car for the wrong price. Only you can do that. Do your history report, get the Carfax, learn as much about that model car as you can before you buy it so that you don't get yourself in trouble. And if you do buy a car that has a problem you weren't ready for, read about it, learn about it, do the research, and fix it yourself. That's what this is all about. Buying, fixing, driving, selling, and riding cars, trucks, motorcycles, and ATVs. It doesn't matter. It's all the same. We're here to have a great time with them. I hope you enjoyed today's video. Be sure to subscribe to Ed Gasket before you go and hit up some other content taking place in the garage. Be sure to hit up Ed Gasket Garage on Instagram to check out other content between videos on YouTube. Otherwise, guys, if you need us between now and the next video of us inside this thing ripping down the road, we'll be in the garage.